If a movement wants to stay alive, it has to transform. We live in a rapidly changing world, and the girls that we serve are moving at an incredible pace as well, and we must keep pace with them.
In October 2005, over 14,000 members of the Girl Scouts of the USA gathered in Atlanta for the 50th National Convention. These girls and adults represented the nearly 4 million members of the Girl Scout movement. In an effort to embrace innovation and change, the Girl Scouts challenged themselves to a movement-wide dialogue on important issues facing the organization.
We need to look to the future. Well, the world is changing. We are in a communication era, and we have to be on top of it. And also keeping our traditions as well. We need to do that.
If the folks at the top will really take the time to listen to the grassroots of this organization and really take into account what's being said, both from rural, from urban, just from girls from all walks of life and all diversities, that we'll have a stronger and better GSUSA than we've ever had before.
Some of the challenges involved in transforming this vast organization relate to getting everybody on board. Because of the diversity of the organization, which is one of our strengths, it's also one of our challenges. People come from a variety of geographic areas. They come from a variety of educational levels, a variety of understandings about the issues really at the national level. And so helping people think globally rather than locally, I think, is the largest challenge we face.
The fact that we get to sample the opinions of the 10,000 people that are here at the convention, it's an unparalleled opportunity for an organization like ours. We have to be in step with the future, and if we don't start now, then the next thing we know, we're going to be completely out of step because the future has passed us by.
At previous national conventions, GSUSA leaders would field questions from hundreds of council delegates on just a few designated topics. This slow and often tedious process didn't allow for valuable dialogue and failed to gather critical feedback on a broad range of issues from the entire membership. It was a process in need of change.
Sometimes I feel like we're playing a game of telephone and nobody's quite getting the right message. People came up to the mic with their burning issue and they're not necessarily paying attention to each other. We weren't able to answer everybody's questions. You're not really able to build a dialogue. So you're maybe not moving conversation forward. If we were able somehow to get people to be able to ask related questions and build it into conversation and come to some kinds of agreements about it, I think that would really help us as an organization.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Space.
Listening to the membership, creating a dialogue, and building consensus was at the heart of the Atlanta Convention. The Girl Scouts became innovators in strategic dialogue and member engagement by inviting girls and adults into lively conversations about the future of Girl Scouting.
Welcome.
They did this by hosting strategy cafes and the largest open space technology meeting ever held in the United States.
We wanted this meeting to be different than any other national council session. And I want to ask you to trust the process. It's going to be lively and messy. There may be as many as 150 to 200 different discussion groups going on at the same time. And all of that dialogue will be generated by what's on your mind.
So how does open space technology work?
I like to use open space when the issues are very, very complex, when you've got a lot of chaos going on, when there's turbulence in the system, when there may be high conflict in the system, because it gives people an opportunity to get to something that's better, higher, more transcendent than what we can each one think of on our own. When I'm opening the space, I am there to set the context for people and help them understand the process and then get out of the way as much as possible. And then I walk out into the center of the circle and begin going around inside the circle to open the space, to signify that we are in a circle together. What happens next is they come out, they get right down on the ground, which is very grounding, helps them to feel the earth, literally, and put their topic on a piece of paper. Once they have their topic on paper, they wait, say their name and their session topic, and then put it on the marketplace wall so that everybody could see what their topic was. People have already decided when and where they want to meet, and everybody's beginning to get a sense of where they want to go and when. From that time on until we do the closing circle or the convergence process, people are on their own and they do what they want to do. So they go to the sessions and they talk about what the session host wanted to talk about, sort of. I mean, usually a bunch of stuff happens in a session and people begin to talk about all kinds of things in there.
One of the things that they do is that they have paid staff are the leaders there. How do you guys handle that?
We're all volunteers.
It's all you have volunteers who do that?
Yes.
One of the things that got it jump-started in Charlotte was to have paid staff go in and actually lead those trips.
Why is change a negative connotation? I don't understand that whole concept.
It's negative when
life
you start
is change.
It's negative at the point when you start diluting the programs and the things that Girl Scouts have always done really well and which are still worth doing.
Mostly a program-related event, and for 10 minutes he pulls the dads aside and he tells them it costs X number of dollars a year to run Girl Scout program, and here's your opportunity to support that Girl Scout program, and he's met varying levels of success. We had one dad
In open space technology, participants are guided by the law of 2 feet, which says if you find yourself neither learning nor contributing in a session, use your 2 feet to take you where you will. This sets the stage for people to take responsibility for their own experience and to remain aware of their own level of meaningful input.
Donations, but you know, it's the first opportunity we've had to get to the parents of the girls.
Across the convention hall, more than 900 girls participated in Strategy Cafe sessions. Based on the World Cafe process for leading collaborative dialogue, the Strategy Cafes promoted deep, small group discussion and the cross-pollination of ideas about the strategic direction of the Girl Scout movement.
When I saw what happened in the room that I was in, it was just so amazing. There were some amazing discussions that was just so full of fire and life.
Being able to actually sample the girls' voices and get their input into this whole transformation process, it's a unique experience, I believe. And I think having girls running the girl cafes assured that our adults weren't identifying the issues or telling them what was important. The girls were saying what was important. Strategy Cafes being involved with the Girl Congress is a new concept, and the Strategy Cafes really being involved in Girl Scouting in general is a new concept too.
With the Strategy Cafe, we're all voicing our opinions, and it's just great because everyone is respectful. We're all listening to each other, so it makes me feel like I am part of this. They do care about my opinion.
It's all about bringing people together in a comfortable space and encouraging people to speak from the heart. To be real and share things that matter to them. And that was very empowering for me. It helped me understand how to facilitate a very meaningful discussion without having to control it.
Each session has anywhere from 1 to 35, I think is the most we've gotten in today, pages of notes. And the theme finders are going through and finding some of the emotion, the underlying questions, and some of the unifying themes throughout the notes, so that there is some real concise messages coming out of each of the different breakout sessions.
Girl Scouting has always been on the cutting edge, and I think this is a manifestation of being on the cutting edge.
This was probably the best format for members of Girl Scouts of the organization to have their voices heard. And I was really impressed that there was no defined leader, there was no defined expert, that we were all experts coming from different backgrounds. It really empowered me to know that this is an organization that I want to be associated with for a long time.
Came into this whole day very skeptical, but I felt like as a board president I had committed to be here, so that's what I was going to do. But once people started writing their questions down and putting them up on the board, you know, it was organized chaos, just like she said it would be. However, it all seemed to work itself out. We all ended up going into sessions, and we all had meaningful conversations. Everybody had gone somewhere different. Everybody had learned something different. So I really felt like it was much more beneficial than I had given it credit for initially. If there's anything that I bring away from this whole process is that we have got to keep open lines of communication between councils, between staff, and between the national boards and the local boards.
These women just kept coming out with all this stuff, blah, 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 and they've built on it, and what we can do, and then they brought in the financial factor, and they did so many things that I just didn't expect all of it. I just had this little model, and they built on it. That this is awesome. I can hardly wait to go back to my own council and just say, you know, this thing really worked really well.
The Girl Scout movement is powered by adult volunteers. Without their energy and dedication, the organization would not exist. Through the use of open space technology and strategy cafes at the National Convention, input from these volunteers and the girls in attendance went directly to the national leadership at GSUSA.
We want to hear all the good ideas. The point is with volunteers is they're out there with girls every day. Their perspective on what needs to happen for our future is different than my perspective is sitting in New York City. So getting all those different perspectives is really important.
The volunteers are people who give of their time freely. You always want to ensure that they're having the very best experience possible. So the democratic process helps support that.
I'm Morgan Scher, and my name's Dorothy Hariyama, and we would both like to say how much we learned about how much weight we can have, and I want to go and talk to all the girls that we know who are in Girl Scouts and tell them. My name is Patty Lightfoot. I am from the Seal of Ohio Council. And what put me in motion was knowing the fact that I could actually come here and speak directly to board members, CEO, and council staff as a volunteer and be heard.
Throughout the convention, strategy cafes were open for every attendee and visitor to discuss and record their thoughts. The voices of adult volunteers and Girl Scouts from around the country were heard like never before. The 2005 National Convention offered a powerful model for change, a change in line with founder Juliette Lowe's vision, the empowerment of girls.
So bottom line, it's for the girls.
This movement is for the girls. I know that GSUSA wants to do what's best for the most important part of our organization, the girls.
And that's what we are here for, girls. We are a girl-centric organization.
That's what we're about. We're about the girls.